So, whilst it wasn't just about the actual process of filming and breaking of craft and the name itself, we knew it was going to be an interesting period in the lead up to the launch. We were doing things new. It was an untested way for pretty much every organisation I'd spoken to in our research. We'd selected the work as a marketing campaign rather than as an exhibition, and of course, there's the name. So whilst we were told to expect a reaction similar to the image that you just saw, in actual fact, once we'd launched the campaign at the world premiere in London at the Soho, the Curzon Soho, and the TV ad that followed, we received international acclaim. This is pictures of the first night, our name in lights. We received basically hundreds of letters and emails and texts and LinkedIn messages and all the social networking messages about what the campaign had done. The first message we received was from Mike Press, who said the Craft Scotland team has shifted us onto quite a new level of unbridled imagination and daring. And the word that kept coming back and all the feedback was brave. You're doing something different. You're inspiring us in a different way. I work in North Yorkshire. I wish that I was living in Scotland so Craft Scotland could represent me. So it was obviously it was fantastic. It was not what we expected originally. This campaign was targeting the public audience, and in actual fact it was it seemed to inspire more the international craft sector. But we've had a number of benefits as a result of it, and I don't think these have really been communicated to the craft sector in Scotland. We were invited to the American Craft Council conference to launch the C Word campaign in a small convening that was taking place called Craft in the Media immediately before the conference. I launched it to a group of about 20 people working in the American craft sector, mostly with jobs around media and marketing. And a couple of those people have since come back to us to ask if they can either buy or lease the campaign from us. We were also just recently invited to the Philadelphia Museum of Art Craft Show in 2011, and we're working at the moment to secure funding to take 26 artists to Philadelphia. They found us as a result of clicking through on a link from Collect and found the C Word. And they're running a campaign at the moment trying to reclaim the word craft. Hadn't thought of the C Word, and they're working with us to put the C Word onto cinemas in Philadelphia. Then we also have the press opportunities. We've had press opportunities in the Sunday Times, as I said before. Newsnight Scotland featured us. We've had press in America. I was featured on Man Shop's Globe in America, and various blogs and things around the world. And also, of course, future opportunities. A fantastically creative company in Leith, which of course is going to be our new home from next week, called Blue Mungus, approached us a few months ago to ask us to develop an app, a Spread the C Word app, which we're working on at the moment, so watch this space, and a Meet Your Maker app will follow that in the new year. So, moving on, talking about Meet Your Maker. Meet Your Maker was the second campaign. If the C Word is about marketing and communications and the high-profile impact of what Craft Scotland is and what the Scottish craft sector is about, then Meet Your Maker is much more about the detail. It's about the USPs of craft. It's about meeting the makers. And it's also about making the point that if we don't invest in the Scottish craft sector, then craft itself might meet its own maker. We launched the campaign with our first ever exhibition in January of this year with National Museum of Scotland. The theme of the exhibition was not only the work, but we installed makers live in the exhibition space for sometimes upwards of 25 hours a week. We have some of our Meet Your Maker makers here today, so maybe they'll chat about that over coffee. And then after a successful run in Edinburgh, we then moved to Timespan in Helmsdale, taking 3 makers from Edinburgh and bringing 2 makers on board from the local community. And that is how the Meet Your Maker campaign will continue to roll. Everywhere we go, whether it's in Scotland, England, Wales, or internationally, we will always embrace the wider making community that is in the area. There's also Buy Your Maker, which is attached to Meet Your Maker, which is our retail arm. And we're developing further work around this campaign, so it's much more than an exhibition. 68% of people who came to see Meet Your Maker at National Museum of Scotland came for the exhibition. as opposed to a trip to the museum, which I think is fantastic, given that it's our first exhibition, and at the time we'd had a public profile of only 4 months. Representation is a key responsibility of the organisation. I've mentioned American Craft Council, and we're continuing to work with them, not only linking in with the organisation itself, but finding new links with the people that we meet when we go out to see the ACC, which is how our international speaker, our keynote speaker, Lisa Bain, is here today. I first came across Lisa at the Minneapolis conference. We also take between 9 and 15 makers to collect each year, and I was lucky enough to go out to SOFA, New York last April with the curator trip funded by Scottish Arts Council. We were also asked to sit on the selection panel of Talente in Munich this year, and I also sit on the Cultural and Creative Alliance groups that work with Creative Scotland and the other art forms. I should just make a note as well that when the Cultural Alliance was formed, there was somebody representing every sector but craft, and it was quite surprising that they didn't go around the table and go, okay, we have theatre, music, dance, where's craft? They'd had 1 or 2 meetings before they realised. So, moving on to the team. First of all, Laura joined us in September, just before the C-Word launch. She joined us as online marketing officer, but was quickly promoted to online marketing manager in April. So she's now a member of the senior management team. The second person's me, so we're still quite small. She's responsible for all aspects of the online offer, from the website to social networking. And she's also about to take on board a huge new project, which I'll come on to in a second. Photography is also a big aspect of what Laura does for us, not necessarily her role, but she's such a fantastic photographer that much of the images you see on the website and in our marketing is down to Laura. And as you've seen in practice today, she's also our technical expert. Then we have Rachel. Rachel joined us in February. She's our Craft Scotland PhD studentship. Research is not my background. It's very much audience development and marketing, and we needed to have somebody who was going to be able to steer research and steer evaluation both internally and both for the sector. The partnership is with St Andrews University, and as she only just joined in February, she's got almost 2.5 years left to go. She's reading frantically at the moment to develop her ideas before she has an upgrade later this year, but she's also very hands-on with the organisation. So she's a team member. She's contributing essays to IE newsletters. She's supporting the research and evaluation of our campaigns, which is the first time this has really happened. And she's also developing a Craft Scotland library, which will be appearing in the new office. We then have Rebecca, who you'll be hearing from in a moment, looking fine in a hat-walk hat there, over there. She's our Audience Development Officer. She joined us in March of this year on a 1-year fixed-term contract funded by Creative Scotland. The role has a project budget attached, which is the first time that this has happened, and she's responsible for developing audiences for both the organisation and the sector, and she'll be talking in more detail about her plans in a moment. We then have Jo, sitting on the second row there. Jo's here today. She's our business administrator. She joined in March, just after Rebecca. Previously worked with us on freelance contracts for Collect and Homes and Interiors. She's responsible for all elements of office management, so has been instrumental in our office move. She's responsible for finance, having just brought the finance role in-house, that was previously freelance. The coordination of all projects and also supporting the team and myself. And you might know Jo because she also used to own and run 12 Degrees, the craft shop on George Street. Then we have Rick Anderson, admin and event assistant. I was congratulated a few times in Shetland for employing a male over the past few days in the craft sector. Rick joined us in July on a 1-day placement. So 1 day a week placement for a year, and he assists Jo and Rebecca and has also been supporting Jo with the office move. And finally, our newest recruit, we have Melanie, who joined just recently, a few weeks ago. She's also a graduate internship, online assistant, working with Laura, and is doing up to 20 hours a week for 3 months in the first instance. And then there's me, and I feel like I'm actually going to be a new member of staff come Tuesday, because we've had lots and lots of things going on in the first 2 years, and to be honest, the first year my role certainly wasn't the CEO role that it should be, but we now have a team. We've got 12 months of partnership working, promotion behind us, so I really feel from Tuesday when we move office and we've launched our plans here today that my role really will be the role of leading, representing and driving forward the vision of Crafts Scotland whilst also representing the sector and all it has to offer. I joined officially in October 2008, but as I said, I do feel my role is going to be very different from next week. This office has a lot to answer for, by the way. If we had £1 for every time we said when we move office. We haven't got an image, I don't think, of our office we're in at the moment. We did have an office move from the broom cupboard, but we're now moving again. We're moving on Tuesday to Coburg House in Leith. The space itself has enough space for up to 12 members of staff, although we certainly don't expect to grow any more in the interim period. But we are looking to develop a craft library where you can look to rent or come in and read or watch or listen to materials. We're building it slowly because we don't have a great deal of resource for it, but you're more than welcome to come in and use the materials.